You're now listening to Sound Talent Media. Check out more shows at soundtalentmedia.com.
Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm Matt Migaki, the vocalist of Cryptopsy and the host of the Vox and Hops Metal Podcast, where I sit down with fellow metal musicians. We talk all about their lives and music while sharing killer craft beers. If you've ever wanted to sneak backstage and share a beer with one of your favorite musicians, well, Vox and Hops is the podcast for you. This week on the podcast, I dropped a killer episode with Kelly Schaefer of Atheist. There is this episode and over 440 other ones to help you enjoy life, metal, and craft beer. So what are you waiting for? It's time to become a Vox and Hops head. Cheers!
Hey, what's up, folks? Really glad to be talking to you again this week, and I'm really excited about this episode. It turned out really, really good. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Dovydas and what he does, but he has a very large YouTube channel, which is pretty much exclusively his performances. And he's a musician from Lithuania. I'll let him tell his story, but just to kind of familiarize yourself, he's on YouTube. He's got over 400,000 subscribers and millions of views. It's kind of an interesting view on the music world from his vantage point, I think. And so this episode, we got into his gear. We talked about exactly what his setup is and how he uses it, but we really just kind of went for a high level music talk, which was refreshing and interesting. And we both have a little bit different takes on what's going on, and it was a really fun chat. And he has a cool perspective, and his channel's awesome, and I really enjoyed talking with him. So hopefully you guys enjoy this chat as much as I did. And let's see, do we have any housekeeping to take care of this week? Oh yes, we are almost at 100 reviews on iTunes. In fact, we're just two away from having 100 reviews on iTunes. And that doesn't mean anything, but I would really like to see 100 reviews on iTunes. So if you have a few minutes to pop over there and leave a review, that would be most excellent. I'd love to crack that three-figure barrier on there, simply for no reason at all, just because I think it would be nice. So if you've been looking for an excuse, now's as good a time as any, and that really does help the show out quite a bit. So I think that's it for now. I'm just going to get right into this episode. Enjoy. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Tone Mob Podcast, the show about guitar tone and the people behind it. I'm your host, Blake Weiland, and with me today, I have Dovydas. What's going on, man?
Hello. It's not much, but I made a point to set an alarm. I woke up and I'm here.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. You had to set an alarm for 1 p.m.?
Well, you know how editing goes, right? So.
Yes. Yes. I didn't know if maybe you had a late gig. You were sleeping, trying to get some beauty sleep.
Well, that happens as well, but that was over the weekend. Yeah, I had like late gigs for sure. Yeah.
You have a really interesting setup and everything, and I don't want to tell your story for you because I don't know it that well, but I think a lot of my listeners may not. So, I mean, you came from Lithuania and you ended up in Florida, so I don't know how that happened, and I would like to know what's your musical backstory? How did you get started in all this?
Well, I started playing when I was 14. I wanted to play since I was a kid. I think I wanted to play violin when I was 6, but you see, where I come from, a man has to be a manly man, and I guess I looked kind of skinny at 6, so they didn't let me play violin. They took me to the swim school, what they call it's like a sports school, and they were teaching me how to swim because I had asthma too. Basically, if you've seen Lord of the Rings, I was basically Smeagol. Okay, that's what I looked like as a kid.
Okay.
So
okay,
they were trying to rectify that, see if anything could be done about it. So I think they did a pretty good job. So, anyways, I was 14 and my parents and I and a sister, we were in Germany this summer and we saw this guitar at a flea market and I really want it. So we all pitched in and we got it for like 20 euros, I think, at a time. And when we got back to Lithuania, it got repaired, and and once it got repaired, then I was looking to get, you know, lessons from anybody. Um, um, that wasn't like too successful, but that's what kind of got me started in playing guitar. Parents thought it was going to be a hobby, but it turned out to be the only thing that I'm fairly good at. So then I went to music school, but they didn't have guitar classes in music school, so I enrolled in drums. That was the only thing available. So then I played drums. Then I did that for like a year and a half, and then I transferred to music gymnasium, which gymnasium doesn't mean a gym. In Lithuanian means like a higher education, not higher education, but meaning like a specialized high school. So then I took classic.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's like like a lot of words that. Well, that's like a different topic. But I took classical guitar for a half a year. I didn't like that, and then I transferred to a music conservatory in my hometown, and then I graduated from that. So that's kind of like musical education story, in a nutshell.
Right. And then you ended up in Florida. Now, what happened next?
Well,
What was the next step?
I graduated and I was gonna move because I was already like doing gigs with my band in Lithuania and playing covers and originals, and I was exclusively singing in English because I just like that American music and just all of that. So I was gonna either go to United Kingdom or Germany. I was learning German, and then I got connected with some Americans musicians from Florida, and they saw some of my videos on YouTube. I wasn't making YouTube videos per se, but uh, I was on Lithuania's Got Talent, so they saw those videos from Lithuania's Got Talent YouTube, whatever, and then we got talking, and they said, "Oh, you should definitely come to our Kojak's pork barbecue, some kind of festival or something." And I said, "Wow, that'd be great." And in my mind, I thought, "Wow, it must be like a big blues festival or something." Well, it was in the parking lot of a barbecue restaurant in Palmetto, and it's a really funny story. But anyways, these two guys that I never met in person, I connected with them on Facebook, and one of them was he's a musician, Steve RV. Not kind of like RV, but it begins with an A, and I came down, and he let me
Gotcha.
borrow a couple of his guitars and an amp, and I started doing gigs in this area, and in this Sarasota, Bradenton, Florida area.
And what about so you were on Lithuania's Got Talent, and that was something I actually wanted to ask you a little bit about, is because if you Google yourself, you get a lot of different answers as to your different monikers you've performed under and all that stuff. So
Well,
what's the story
Lithuania's
there?
Got Talent. I think they announced that they're gonna have this like TV show, and I saw it on TV, and it's like, go on this website and register, and then I registered. And at a time when I had a band, I it was like David Smash Band, or like David Smash or David Mash and the Smash Band or something like that. I don't know. I watched that movie Walk the Line with Joaquin Phoenix, and he said, "Hello, I'm Johnny Cash." So I wanted to say, "Hello, I'm David Smash." So it had the same sound to it. And
Gotcha,
Dovydas is
gotcha.
David, and my last name is Mushchinska, so like the first part is Mush. It sounds kind of like silly, so then I just added an S and then it became Smash. I don't know, sounds cool. And on Lithuania's Got Talent, it was just they used
Gotcha.
my real name, Dovydas, Meshinskas. You can see they have those graphics come up, with the contestant's number and their name and age, and you can see it come up. Yeah.
Right. Gotcha. Gotcha. That makes sense. That makes sense. I was trying to piece that all
Yeah.
together. This makes a lot more sense now. So where
Um,
did you get started on
well,
YouTube? What was the inspiration
YouTube
there?
always kind of existed, and I knew about it since it started, but I had no clue that people use it for any real life application beyond just if they have too much extra time on their hands and they're just post videos of, I don't know, whatever, right? So in Lithuania, I only used YouTube to just to put videos, sort of like storage, not storage. What do you call that? Like a, yeah, like a cloud. So I
Just
like,
like a
okay, so I
host.
did a
Yeah.
gig, with a band, and I had like my mom film it. So then the whole thing goes on YouTube, and I just title it easily so I can find it myself. Or I go to the gym, and then I did some kind of personal record, so then dad films that, and then I put it on YouTube. So just random stuff, of me. It's like my personal storage that's kind of public, but no one watches it anyway. And then and my idea of how to become successful, I thought, okay, so you go on TV, because Elvis went on Ed Sullivan, and then the Beatles went on Ed Sullivan, and then TV shows. So that's why I went on Lithuania's Got Talent. That's why I try to participate in Eurovision and a bunch of different Got Talent shows in the other European countries, and I really really pursued that. And it wasn't until much much later, while I was in the US, that I've tried so many times to go on TV, and it's just I think TV is losing its influence and power. And then my sister told me about, well, several people, my sister, my fiance, and a bunch of other people that they're watching these YouTubers. And I think my fiance was watching somebody with nutrition, or like they were traveling or something, and they're like making a living. I'm like, how are they making a living? And then my sister showed me PewDiePie, and she's like, he's doing this full time. What do you mean full time? He's making money. How? Like no clue. Like, really? And then I looked more, research, go on YouTube. How does one make money on YouTube? How does this? How can making YouTube videos be a full time job? And and it just blew my mind. And I saw these guys just play Happy Wheels, or Friday nights of Five Nights at Freddy's or something, and just like screaming. It still takes talent because it's entertaining, so their talent may not be like musical or something, but it's still entertainment, and it was just insane. Just millions of views and millions of followers. And
Mm-hmm.
so that I guess the inspiration came from that.
Gotcha. Interesting. So, do you remember your first attempt at like making a YouTube video with that in mind? Do you remember what that was and what you did?
Yeah, I saved up money from my gigs, and I got what I call the Casey Neistat starter pack, which is
Okay. All right.
DSLR with a flip out screen and a microphone on top and a light and a green screen. And then I thought, okay, well, I got to make a video. So I wasn't myself. I was trying to copy a collection of people that I've seen and try to do something like that. It was just pure cringe. It's not available for public viewing anymore, that particular video, but it was just bad. And even with like Casey Neistat starter kit, the views didn't come. It's like, doesn't matter how good or sharp the image is, or it's not about that. So but yeah, I very clearly remember like turning the camera on and being silent for like 30 minutes because I just couldn't. It's a skill. I've never trained myself to have such skill, to be able to talk entertainingly to a lens, to basically stare into the eyes of death, because that's what a camera lens looks like. you know
Yes, it is.
right. And I don't know. So yeah, that was the first attempt, and I've tried numerous other attempts after that, but just nothing felt natural. It was just too much effort, and it just wasn't me. I was trying to create some sort of like entertainment of me doing something that I'm not trained or even entertaining to look at me doing. Just basically me sitting in the chair with a microphone stand, kind of, and doing like 2015 PewDiePie, impression. It was bad.
So, was it even a musical thing at the time, or were you just trying to make a video that was similar to PewDiePie's or Casey Neistat or whatever? Like, whatever, insert 2015 popular
Right.
YouTuber here.
I was trying to do like I think that video was me talking about this blues competition that my band participated in. It's not like popular among the general public, so I was trying to talk about it and be entertaining and funny and stuff. So it was still like music related, but I wasn't playing music in the video, and I wasn't performing.
Right. Well, obviously, you got something figured out since then. because, last I checked, you had over 400,000 subscribers. So was there a light bulb moment when you're like, okay, I can't do it this way, but I can do
No,
it this way?
kind of. Well, if I say it's an accident, then it's or just got lucky. That's not true because there were so many shots taken before something took off. So from my understanding,
Mm-hmm.
the way YouTube worked and still works at the time is like consistency. So I have to be able to produce certain amount of content on weekly basis for people to return. Kind of like there's like a TV show Thursdays at 7 p.m. on FX. And then viewers return for that. And during the season, and if it drops out, then the viewers are not going to
Mm-hmm.
return. So I started like just watching other people talk about YouTube, like a bunch of YouTube channels that talk about how to grow a YouTube channel, and basically consistent content. So okay, what can I do? And I was already doing like 5-6 gigs a week, 3-4 hour gigs, sometimes like 8 gigs a week, sometimes twice a day, and just and I remember watching and learning about other players, that inspired me to start playing. Or while I was learning guitar, most of them were dead. So the only way I learned about them is through recorded audio or video. And once YouTube and internet came to Lithuania, I used to watch a bunch of old time greats, guitarists and performers on YouTube. So okay, well, I guess people could find out about me somehow. I don't know. So I started videoing my gigs. So I would do like a 3 hour gig, and I would bring my DSLR. I put it on a tripod, like far enough away so it captures all of me in the frame. But the problem with DSLR is that it shuts off after 25 minutes or 30 minutes. So then you have to like go up to it and click it, turn it back on again. So I think I did that for a half a year, and nobody watched those videos because I still didn't take the entire gig. I would like warm up like the first set, and then I would think of a song that I would want to take on video, and then I would play that song and turn on the camera and film that, and just kind of keep that. And just so there are like some early videos just of that. And I remember watching the interview of Dub. Do you know Dub?
I don't.
He's like this performer, beatboxer, singer, and he toured Europe actively, and he's successful now. Well, from what I understand, and one of those early live loopers. So he would live loop everything with his voice, would do beatboxing, that then he would use like a GT100, GT10, I think, pedal to do like an octave down and do the bass, and then just like sing on top and create these like soundscapes with just his voice and a loop pedal. And he was touring Europe and other countries. So I was watching a interview, and he said that the first video of him, well, basically in the interview he said that he has a successful career just because of YouTube. So that was like, wow. And then he said that the first video that went viral and took his career off or something like that was the video where the camera person had the direct audio feed, which is like a minor
Mm-hmm.
detail, but it's like pretty big to have a direct audio feed. So then
Definitely.
crap. I have to have a direct feed out of the mixer or something, because then I watched this other guy on YouTube, and he said that people are 50% twice as likely to watch a bad video quality if it has really good audio. So that's another like factor, in audience retention or something like insert any corporate analytical language.
Right.
So then I started doing that, but still I was like doing just like one song or two songs, and the just big camera was a hassle, and sometimes I just felt shy, because it's like a big camera, and I'm supposed to perform there. I don't know, it just felt weird. Sometimes I get like, what are people thinking of me, So maybe today I'm not going to bring a camera to a gig. But then I found out these small cameras, and then I started using these like really small cameras that you just turn them on, and then they just film for 2 hours straight, and then they just shut off when the battery dies. So that was a game changer in more efficient content producing, which, by the way, I still had no views. So
So, so was there a video that you feel was your breakout moment then? Was there one that just took off and you're like, aha, this is the formula?
Well, it didn't. I didn't figure out the formula until much, much later, and I don't think I still know the formula. But there was a video. Yeah, I was doing a gig. There was again no one there at a. Well, it's you see, summer in Florida is off season, so it's very few people. Anyways, I think it was like a weekday at a brewery, and these three people came in, and there were like two people in the, so I guess like five people total. And I'm just playing. It's an outdoors stage, they have outdoor seating, and I'm just jamming and just doing my soundscapes, guitar solos for like 10 minutes, and this lady that she was, I don't know, drunk a little bit, and can you do Tender Surrender by Steve Vai? And I'm like, what? And she's like, Tender Surrender by Steve Vai. And I just captured all of that, and out of 3 hour footage, when I went back home, and then I just edit each song into individual videos, and then that one particular had an interaction, so I added did I add subtitles? I think I added subtitles, and then I posted it, and I titled it "When Someone Requests a Steve Vai Song," because that's the best description of the in the title I could come up with. And then it got like, I think like 6,000 views in the first 2 weeks, I think, which was like, wow. I'm going to send this to Motorworks, which was the name of the venue I was playing, to show them, look how many views I got. And your banner is in the back, 6,000 views on YouTube, and then Hurricane Irma came to Florida. So we had to evacuate. It was 2017, and it was my birthday too. And then there was no network on my phone. I think something happened to my phone. It got broken. So anyways, we were driving day and night, and we, I think, got somewhere to Alabama, and then I checked my phone, and then like over just a couple days, the video was up to like 250,000, and then like a few days later it was like a half a million, then 1 million. Then it just went nuts. The whole channel just like kind of went nuts.
That's crazy. That is such a that light bulb moment that everybody everybody is looking for when they're doing this YouTube thing. And it seems like the real answer when you talk to anybody is like, it goes back to what you say, is consistency and just keep producing, because I'm sure when you uploaded that, you didn't anticipate that was going to be the big one. It was just a video with some drunk lady in it.
Yeah. And it's not like,
it's weird.
Like Steve Vai is somehow on Google Trends. It's not like guitar is a popular topic. It's like none of those are somehow like, part of like your perfect BuzzFeed type of viral video formula. None of those. So
no. So let's talk about your live rigs. So you've got a pretty unique setup, and I can't entirely tell what your setup is like. So can you give us a breakdown of that, from guitar to amplifier or whatever you're using?
Sure. Well, when I first started, I wanted to play with the band, but most of the venues, they said, oh, we don't have enough of a budget to play with a band. So I would just come and do a gig of just strumming guitar and singing, or like finger picking and just singing. And then I got into looping. I think 4 or 5 years ago, I got like one looper pedal. And then, so the current rig is like a slow evolution from that. I just added more and more over time. So right now, okay, let's see. So I have a bunch of guitars. The initial guitar that I saved up, money, and took me a while, is Schecter Banshee Elite 7-string Floyd Rose with a Sustainiac version. It's yeah.
Ooh.
So that's like my the first guitar that it's not my first guitar I ever bought, but it's like I wanted a 7-string and I wanted a Floyd Rose because, and then current rig. Okay, so Boss GT1000 for the guitar tones, basically everything has amp simulation, everything. So there's no amp.
Mm-hmm.
Then
okay,
and then
gotcha.
I run Boss SY300 through the effects loop. And that's like a synthesizer, so I have like this weird stereo sound. So you can hear a guitar on the left sometimes, and then it's like a synthesizer overdubbing in the right or something. But sometimes I use it, sometimes I don't. I have Roland SPD SX drum pad for all my drum sounds, and I have Roland JDXI synthesizer. It's like a smaller three octave synthesizer, and Boss RC505 looper, and microphone. I think it's Telefunken M80. And for vocal effects, I used TC Helicon Voice Live Play for the longest time. But then Boss came out with
Okay.
Boss VE 500, so I'm using that, and it's way better. Yeah. So I think that's it.
In what way? What makes it better?
Well, the TC Helicon is really good, but I think their technology is older. They had that same technology for like 10 years, and then Boss comes out with this one this year. So there are like, tweakable EQ and tweakable compression. So I can really like tweak it to the point where it sounds like it's like was recorded in the studio and then processed. So it has and it has really good auto tune. So I can do all of the trap. I can do all of yeah.
That's the video I was watching. Is you're when you're classically trained, but you listen to trap once. That's the video I was sucked into that made me late for this. So I apologize, but it was your
It's
video.
Well, I had those face tattoos for the entire gig, and I don't know. I thought it was funny. Some people were confused, but it was a fun gig. So.
Did anyone think that those face tattoos were real?
Oh yeah, if you read the comment, yeah, like people are like, "No, don't do this to your face" or something. Oh, I'm so disappointed. I'm unsubscribing.
I'm unsubscribing because of your face
Mhm.
tattoos. Oh,
Mhm.
that's funny. You're like, okay, bye. I mean, they're not real. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, yeah.
So do you feel like you really kind of developed this style of playing on your own, or were there some other musicians that inspired you to create a rig like this and play the way you do?
I would say Dub Effects, but he was, beatboxing and using his voice as a bass. So I tried that early on. There's no videos of that, but I tried beatboxing. It's just not good. I just really wanted that real sound, whatever real
Mm-hmm.
like dance or real drums or like club drums or like EDM or hip hop. Um, and the bass, I used to use an octave pedal for the guitar to drop the guitar octave down to make it sound like a bass. Then at one point, I even had a double neck guitar that had bass and electric, coin joined. I guess that's the premise of a double neck, dual neck guitar. But that was just too heavy, and it was just not a very good guitar. So I guess it just came about out of need to have those sounds, and because technology was there. There are such things as loopers and drum pads where you can put your own drum sounds, and synthesizers where you can drop how many octaves you want, and you just like it just really cool stereo bass. So, and I've seen
Yeah.
now I wouldn't say like, oh, I'm the first one, but there are people who are doing this, and I don't, I'm not, this is not a race, so I don't see like uh, any benefit of being the first one at it. But Tash Sultana, then Mark Rebier, they are doing this. Who else is looping? I remember Brian Fitzy, but I don't, he was doing demos for gear, and I think he's like a violin guitar player, multi-instrumentalist looper. Oh, Elise Trow, she's doing it with Ableton Live, so she'll like loop drums and everything else.
Yes.
So there are people. Nastya Maslova, she was actually way before me, so that's where I got the idea to get RC505 actually from. That's one of the first people I saw using that particular looper was from her videos. So yeah, there's a bunch. Yeah.
What is it about the RC505 that you like over and above other loopers?
Well, it has 5 tracks, and they can each be individual length, and there's not another looper that can do that.
Oh, maybe that's what I've been looking for.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I've been trying to find an upgrade. I have a very, very not advanced, but pretty good simple looper, the Digitech Jamman XT, the little one button, one knob thing. And it works really well, but it obviously is pretty limited in how you can control things once you've got it recorded.
Right, right.
So I've been trying to find an upgrade. Maybe I need to look at the 505.
Yeah, it's a beast. You know, it has input effects, output effects, and you can has 4 inputs. So that's another thing. You know, I wanna plug in my guitar, my drum pad, my synthesizer, and sometimes my vocals. You know, so and then it's basically like you know, producing music live. You know, just so I do all kinds of, like, you know, the music drops out or comes back in, or like a low pass filter, you know, high pass filter, you know. I've been looking at some other gear too. I think Roland, was it? Yeah, I think it was Roland just announced like MC707, which is like a beat maker with a synth engine and a sampler, and it could be used as an 8-track looper.
Oh,
So I'm like watching videos of that. It's mainly geared at like live music production, more like hip hop and EDM, but that's exactly what the direction I'm trying to go to, you know, with guitar.
Right.
So I don't know. I've been looking at tutorial videos on that particular piece of gear, and maybe I'll try to get a hold of it, you know, somehow.
You mentioned something earlier about guitar, you know, not necessarily being a trending topic, and you know, you just kind of referenced the hip hop and EDM worlds. With you trying to blend the two a little bit, what's your opinion on the people who say, you know, the articles that you read that are like guitar's dying and guitar's dead? What's your take on that?
Well, commercially speaking, it is dead. It's been dead since 2010, at least. This other guy on YouTube, I forget his name, but he did like a really good video. When did rock die? And he ran statistics of the most popular albums in the U.S. and in the United Kingdom and the top charts. And he just, and this like a beautiful graph of how much guitar is used and exactly the point where you don't hear guitar like at all. And it's 2010. So in 2010, you could argue that rock and guitar died commercially. So the way I see it, the birth of rock and roll, the Elvis and the Beatles, is like a massive nuclear explosion that gave birth to this industry, you know, which is, you know, guitar pedals and guitars. Now, thanks to the explosion being so powerful, so there is still nuclear radiation in the air that sustains ongoing sales. Now, usual like guitar manufacturers and, you know, people who keep statistics, well, the guitar sales are rising every year. Well, the reason they're rising because they're calculating ukuleles as guitars. So actually, ukuleles outsell guitars, and so if you calculate only guitars and not ukuleles, the sales are declining. And I think another reason why it's like people say it's like dead or dying or something like that, it hasn't innovated that much when it comes to innovated in the sense that a regular person can understand and appreciate. So there's like this counterculture that they advance the guitar playing to new amazing levels, but the more you advance in that particular direction, the less and less people who don't play guitar will understand that style of music. So my idea is to bring guitar and everything the best that it has to offer to the zeitgeist, which is currently is hip hop, and hip hop is the current blues and rock music. So you could also argue that rock didn't die. It just became something that people don't like, that used to like the old rock, you know, because the spirit of rock currently is with hip hop. And, you know, I can elaborate on that if you want me to.
I think I understand what you mean, and I would agree that hip hop is the new rock and roll in as far as its cultural relevance goes, for sure. It is 100% the rock and roll of its time as far as genres go. I have a little bit different viewpoint on the overall quote unquote decline of guitar sales and also the lack of large rock stars. I view it a little bit differently, and I'm also, tightly, plugged into the gear industry. And when you look at all these reports that people have access to, you can, it doesn't tell the full story because, there's so many small manufacturers now and small builders, whether it's effects pedals or small luthiers or whatever, that are, in my opinion, they're not accounted for. So I know I have a few companies that I do some work for that they don't report any of their sales to anybody but the government. They don't need to tell these industry rags what they're doing because it doesn't benefit them to do that, and they're not being asked, honestly. So it doesn't really matter. But my viewpoint on the declining guitar sales is I think a lot of the small manufacturers have eaten into the bigger retail outlets and have eaten into the bigger players in the business, the Fenders, the Gibsons of the world. And I think they're really feeling that pinch now, almost like I'm not saying they're dying, but like a death by a thousand cuts scenario, where there's just all these little pieces taking away from them that also aren't being reported to anywhere. So it looks like some sales are declining worse than they actually are, in my opinion. That's just my viewpoint on it.
That's interesting. Yeah,
it's because if you look at brands like Kiesel out of California,
right,
they're selling a lot of guitars. They're not telling anybody exactly how many guitars they're selling, but they're also not a Fender, so they don't have to. So there's a lot of that going on, I think, as well. And also, I think there's a fracturing of attention. Now there's people paying attention to guys like you on YouTube and paying attention to, more niche-y. Maybe they got really into metal, or I think everything's so much more fractured and everyone's attention spans are so much more fractured that when they go to listen to music, they're very specific with what they want. So not everyone's listening to Led Zeppelin now. Back then, Zeppelin was on the radio. They were the biggest band in the world because the gatekeepers said they're going to be the biggest band in the world. Now, there's so many more artists and so many more ways to get your message out there. I think that is also leading to the dilution of the quote unquote rock star. But that's I think there's a lot of sides to this coin, is what I'm getting at. More than two.
Right. That's like a 4-dimensional coin.
Yeah, it's more like a D20, I think, than anything else. But when you were talking about hip hop having the spirit of rock and roll now, can you elaborate on what you mean by that?
Have you seen the movie Cadillac Records?
I have not. Sounds familiar though.
It's about chess records and blues in Chicago in 50s.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Beyonce plays Etta James. It's Muddy Waters, I think. Who's playing? It's like there's Chuck Berry. It's about Lil Walter. It's like all of them. It's all Willie Dixon. I forget the actor's name, but it's like good actors, And what's okay? I forget the actor's name. Doesn't matter. Okay, so
right.
So Muddy Waters, Lil Walter, Howling Wolf. Okay, all made up names. Lil Uzi, Lil Yachty. Okay. Post Malone, all made up names. Okay, so in that movie Cadillac Records, it was like there's like prologue where they're talking about if you could play the guitar, you were better than Superman, meaning like all the women liked the performer and all the men wanted to be like that particular performer. And then they showed certain scenes of a blues juke joint, and all the young people are drinking and dancing kind of like a modern club. And they were all wearing fancy suits and buying Cadillacs and making tons of money from their hits that made it to the radio. Well, the same thing with all the, hip hop and trap artists currently. It's literally same message, like do 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 do, hoochie coochie band. It's like literally twerking and booty, but adapted to that particular decade. It's like,
oh yeah, okay.
The themes, I'll put a tiger in your tank. It's just a more subtle reference. Again, it's like and same thing, just like hip hop. Okay, certain radio stations, oh, what about the kids? They're listening to this. It's affecting the kids. Literally, same story. Okay, this blues music, what they're singing about. Have you heard the lyrics? Oh my God,
Mhm.
what about the kids? Most radio stations like banned. They didn't even play that music because of um, cultural tensions as well, which is horrible. But so there's so many themes that are just lining up together, so it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the way I'm viewing it's like I listen to Migos Culture 2 album. It's like literally blues to me. It's like blues and rock and roll. Okay, it's just that even the bass, the 808, the chords, it's like in the minor 1731. It's just like do 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 do. I hear that, but it's like paced at a different tempo, but I hear it.
Uh-huh. Yeah. No, I think that makes a lot of sense. And it is, for all of the, look out for the kids. We got to try to protect the kids, and I understand that, that sentiment as a father. But I also I don't want to be the guy that's criticizing Elvis's shaking hips, because that's just too much for me to handle, which, literally almost everyone looks back on and laughs at now.
Yeah.
Uh, but at the time, it was viewed as dangerous. Like it had never been done before, and it's the same thing. You fast forward to like the punk rock movement, especially in the '70s, and that really shook people up. They were like, "Oh no, what's this gonna lead to? Our culture is declining,"
Right. But
and it looks like it. If you, I can understand why they view it that way, but bigger picture, culture's doing okay. We didn't decline in the '70s. We did all right, and we'll probably be okay moving forward from this too. I think we're gonna be fine
yeah.
with cool music to listen to.
Well, that's the point of art. It's supposed to push the limit. It's supposed to make you feel uncomfortable. If it's like, like it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't challenge the viewer, the person who's supposed to experience the art. Then it's like, I don't know. Then it's a home decor or it's a kitsch. But it's supposed to like
Mm-hmm.
challenge some kind of emotion or preconceived notion. Um, yeah.
We've talked about a lot of different artists on this from a lot of different genres, but when you are sitting down to just enjoy some music, who are you putting in your ears these days?
Well, so I just downloaded Post Malone newest album and Taylor Swift album Lover and Lana Del Rey. So I'm listening to a lot of super like very popular music that's very popular today because you see when blues was topping charts, that was the popular music. When the big band jazz was like Frank Sinatra, Bing Crosby, and Glenn Miller, and the Dorsey brothers, that was popular music. They didn't call it jazz; they call it pop. You can actually find interviews of Leonard Bernstein talking about Beatles and how these kids they're playing this pop music. So it's essentially pop music. He's literally talking about Beatles and it's pop music. So all that pop means is popular. So right now, so I'm listening to pop music and most people, ooh, pop music. But everybody likes pop music. It depends on which decade it was pop, and maybe it's no longer pop, so now it has a different name to it. So I'm listening to a lot of like chart topping music to try to figure out how it's made, what innovations they are using in production and mixing and mastering, and how they're like EQing. What's the length? What's the formula? What the chord progressions? Like there are some really interesting chord progressions. Like the uneducated notion is that it's a 1564, but that's like so early 2000s. Actually, it has gotten way more interesting than that. And so I'm just learning those things because I'm trying to because I have this skill called playing guitar, and I want it to be useful, in the big world, and to put it to show that you can play pop music with guitar, to show that you can play hip hop and trap with guitar, and that it's not dead, that it could be that's the skill that I spend over a decade developing and can be used and readapted and I think one of the reasons why there's like so little guitar, because like the guitar players, they don't play hip hop or pop music. It's like some sort of like a it's not it's like they're too cool for that. And the hip hop artists, the ones that are passionate about sampling new sounds, they don't have formal like a regular musical education. So some oftentimes they don't even play an instrument. So if you can take the best of both worlds and put it together, then you can have like some really awesome music.
Yeah, and there's a guy I've been following on Instagram for a little bit. He's not like a huge channel or anything, but I think what he's doing is really interesting. His Instagram handle is Shreddy Murphy, and I think the E in shred I think is a 3, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, I follow the same dude. It's this guy.
He's great.
I follow that guy.
He's so good. That's really funny that we both follow him.
R&B and he's not like popular like super at all. But
like 1,000 followers or something. I don't know.
Yeah, and he uses hashtag trap rock, rock trap, and he's trying to do that,
He put a video up the other day. I mean, sometimes he just solos in rap songs, and it's like, oh wow, this is not what I would have expected to sound good, but it does. The way he does it, it sounds really good. Everybody should follow him. I think it's really interesting what he's doing, personally.
Yeah.
But it does seem to kind of be a different angle than what you're going for, but kind of trying to do a similar thing, I think.
Yeah. So it's like, and if you listen to the newest Post Malone album, it's like it's already happening. There's so much guitar in there. It's ridiculous. Even one of the songs has a guitar solo in it, and not just like a guitar solo that repeats the line of the chorus. No, it's like a real guitar. It's a proper guitar solo, So it's coming back. It's happening. And I've even recorded a guitar for the Malik Yusuf solo album, and he's a hip hop writer and producer. So it's coming about. You just got to be open minded to new genres. Because there were plenty of jazz guitarists bashing blues, and there were plenty of rock and roll musicians bashing disco. And it's like, back in my day, music, it's like never ending. They always the same argument. Back in my day, music was better. No, it's just you think that. That's it.
Well, and this is something I talked about before on the podcast, and I still find it really interesting. I need to dig the article up, but there is scientific evidence that shows that the music we listen to as teenagers gets ingrained in us in a very special way. So in a weird way, to all these individuals, they're not necessarily wrong. In their brain, that music does sound better because it physically changed them when they were a teenager.
Yeah, Adam.
Which is kind of interesting. And it doesn't have that same adaptation in adulthood, it doesn't seem, most of the time.
Yeah, Adam Neely made a video about that.
Oh, did he? Oh, I didn't see the video. I was reading some Wired article or something.
Yeah, I didn't read it, but I watched it. He made an extensive video about it. Yeah, and it's like the key age seems to be 14.
Yes. And I still like a lot of the things I liked when I was 14. For me, it's more like 16, 17, or were the real impressionable ages for me. I think that's when music really changed my life personally. Right. It seems like 14 was your number, though. That was the guitar day.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that's when I started playing guitar. Yeah.
There you go. Very interesting. So, do you have predictions then, considering all the things we've talked about and everything that we've kind of discussed? Do you have a prediction for 5 years from now what things are going to look like in the guitar world?
Well, the metal niche will come up with a new subgenre of a subgenre of metal. It's gonna be
yes, Death Grind Dwarfcore is the next big one. Yes,
so that's definitely gonna happen. Well, prediction, I don't know. Everybody's like, oh, MIDI, it's gonna be MIDI, and it's like each MIDI guitar, it's like come on, just do it right. Yeah,
Just do it right. You think anyone's going to get it right?
I don't know. It's like they all trying to. I don't think they will because they're trying to replicate. If they wouldn't try to replicate a real life instrument and just do something new, like who did it right? Uh, the Rolly Seaboard. What do you call that? That squishy black
Oh,
keyboard.
yes. Oh,
They
they feel so
they
nice.
did it right. It's basically a completely new instrument based on a keyboard, as opposed to trying to imitate keyboard. It's just they did an amazing job. And everybody who tries to imitate MIDI guitar, I haven't seen one good one. There are some that are going in the right direction, but I don't know. I think we'll see more just guitar being played in popular genres, because that nuclear explosion that was rock and roll, it still has that radiation that impacted people for life. And we like, yeah, Shreddy Murphy, or how many people are there that we don't even know about, so, and that are
Right.
just
Totally.
starting to learn how to play guitar, so it's I don't know, it's just like through the like process of artificial selection. It seems to be the most portable and the coolest looking instrument. I mean, they tried doing that with keytars, but keytars, like, they tried, okay, but it didn't stick. Okay.
Yeah, that didn't quite work out the way we had all hoped. Although, because it's weird and kind of silly, I now want one because that's the type of person I
All
am.
right.
But you're right. I don't know why I want a keytar. That's a dumb thing to want, but I do. I think I just like to collect. I just like to collect eclectic
All
weird
right.
things.
Nothing wrong with that.
That's what it
That's
comes
good.
down to. So we're getting down to the last few minutes here, and obviously you talked a lot about Boss stuff and Roland gear, which is all part of the same umbrella. So you might have an interesting take on this. This is a question I ask all the guests. What is your favorite Boss pedal?
I think they right now released SY1. It's like a synthesizer. Have you seen
Yeah.
that one?
I have, definitely.
But I guess, well, would like a multi-effects pedal count as a pedal?
If it has the Boss logo on it,
Okay,
it counts.
then it's a GT1000 because it literally has everything.
All right, there you go. That seems like a cheating answer, but I'm gonna let it slide because of what I said. So I might need to revise that. I never thought about it. In my head, that means the classic Boss compact pedal, and which is what I always which is all anyone's ever picked was something from that line. So I might need to revise that question a little bit.
Rules and more precise. Yeah,
Some regulations. Well, with that in mind, do you have a favorite from the compact line?
I always like DD7 and RV6. The reverb and delay. Those two.
Yeah. Good, solid.
What else? Multi overtone. It's a little bit newer, but I think it's like 3-4 years old. When they announced it, it adds like these, like, I don't know, artificial harmonics on top. I don't know, it just makes guitar sound weird. I like all the pedals that make guitar sound a little bit more interesting or expand the frequency palette of the guitar, because the guitar is essentially a guitar with a telephone pickup in it, and the principle of that technology hasn't changed. So, and what telephone pickup or just regular guitar pickup does, it just squishes the frequencies, the low end and the high end. And at the time in the recordings, 50s, 60s, even 70s, it was already like you didn't need much. But now you have like full fidelity. So that's why synthesizers just basically trumped the guitar, because it tickles your ears in much more intense way, the wider range of frequencies. So that's why
Right.
like even now you're seeing more shredders play guitar on clean, because it has so much more frequency, from low to high, as opposed to something compressed or distorted. It's like very narrow in the mix, so So I guess like multi-overtone, you like play distorted guitar, and when you engage the boss multi-overtone, it just adds what was taken away.
I have noticed that trend that you mentioned, that people are like clean shredding these days, which is it's something. It's not a new concept, right? Like Django Reinhardt and things like that have been around for
Yeah.
a long time, but it kind of fell out of fashion, and now it's coming back. Sprinkle a little verb on it, maybe a little compression, and the way that some of these players are getting their guitars to sound, I'm just like, well, am I even a guitar player? Because that is some next level. I've just heard some next level things on Instagram and YouTube. I don't even know how to get started. I just layer everything in so much fuzz, and now I'm like, I don't even know if I know how to play guitar. Maybe I don't. Maybe I just play pedals, which is entirely possible.
That's funny. Yeah, that's what I should put in my bio. I play pedals.
I seen somebody on the internet somewhere with that in their bio. Like, I play pedals, not guitar. I was like, oh, well, maybe that's what I do. I never thought about it that way. But the way you're set up, it is almost a completely different experience. You almost are playing a different instrument outside of holding a guitar and making it make the notes. The way the other things you have to do to make that work, they're not the same as what Muddy Waters had to do. It's not the same thing.
Yeah, but electric guitar at the time. Well, people say Muddy Waters invented electricity because he was the first blues person to play electric guitar. So, by the same logic that he was using something within the genre that was so new and radical, and the snobs and the old people of that particular genre frowned upon it. So you could argue that, I don't know, Kanye West has more in common with Muddy Waters than a Muddy Waters tribute band.
Yeah. I think that is an interesting way to look at it.
Adjusted for inflation. Inflation meaning,
of course,
just the time, because Muddy Waters didn't play covers from 1885. That time.
No.
Right. So it's like you see a blues tribute band of some old other band. It's like, well, cool, but it's what's new? And it's nothing new. It's they might do justice for the genre, and but there's no innovation, and
that's why it's exciting when you see somebody like Gary Clark Jr., who uses blues, kind of as a foundation, but takes it to some place that it's never been before. And I really do like that. I really do like the experimentation and the boundary pushing. I make so much weird noise out here. It's kind of obscene. My wife's like, that doesn't even sound like a guitar anymore. I'm like, well, it's because I'm running it through 4 synth pedals. Of course it doesn't sound like a guitar anymore.
That's the point.
But I'm all about experimentation, for sure.
Oh, yeah. And Lil Walter, he was the first harmonica player to plug in a harmonica microphone to a guitar amp.
Oh, yeah. Then that changed everything.
Yeah.
That was considered craziness back then.
Yeah, exactly. So, you got to do something crazy too, because like.
So this is getting close to the end, and I got to get you to the big question. This is the one that can make or break careers, is what I'm told.
Okay.
What kind of pizza do you like?
With pineapple.
Oh, jeez. This podcast is over. I'm hanging up right now. You like Hawaiian? Hawaiian's your jam?
I guess so. Yeah, that's what you call it. Yeah. Because it's like a national chain. It's called Blaze Pizza. And it's basically like a fast food pizza. You walk in and you get to choose everything. So I like that. And I get a bunch of pineapple on top. Yeah.
Just load it up with pineapple.
Yeah. Did you? Well, the main argument.
Is that it? Are you just saying that to be trolly right now? Or do you really load it up
check
that
this
heavy?
Out. So pineapple is a fruit, right? So like the main argument against pineapple on pizza is like, oh, it's a fruit. You're not supposed to put fruit on pizza. Well, guess what? Tomato is technically a fruit. So the tomato sauce is basically fruit sauce as the pizza base. So the argument is invalid.
My argument against pineapple on pizza is not that it's a fruit and not any of that stuff. My argument is that I don't like pineapple. And nobody seems to... Everyone thinks I'm on this bandwagon of hating pineapple on pizza. No, I just hate pineapple.
Well, what
Full stop.
pineapple does, it has these enzymes. When you eat pineapple, those enzymes, they eat inside of your mouth. So technically, when you eat pineapple, the pineapple eats you.
See, I was right all along, guys. See? I knew it. That fruit was out to kill us all. That's what it's trying to do.
Yeah.
That's what's really going on.
Yeah.
I did not know that, though. Is that real? That's a real thing?
Yeah, sometimes like you eat a pineapple and it feels like it's like something like stinging your tongue or something. So it's because of that enzyme. You know, it's usually with fresh pineapple. Yeah. It's like can be really intense.
Wow. But the more you know. And see, it is a death fruit. I've been right this whole time.
Yeah.
10-year-old me was right when I first bit a pineapple.
Funny.
Decided. Anyway. Well, tell everyone where they can find you and all that jazz. Where can they find you on the interwebs?
Just be like, hey Siri, play Dovydas. And then if you say it right, it will play. Or just, go on Google and type in, but you got to know how to spell it. It's D-O-V, and that's
Victor.
You know how. Yes, exactly. Dovydas. It's Dovydas. And it just comes up. It comes up. There is even the Wikipedia page too. It's fairly accurate / inaccurate, but it exists too. So.
It's funny. This is the second time recently that a Wikipedia page just came up right now. Like right now. Nick Reinhardt was just on here and he was requesting that somebody make him a Wikipedia page, which I'm not sure if that's happened yet. So, strange coincidence. Strange world we live in.
That's funny.
Well, thank you so much for doing this. This was a really fun chat. I had a really great time, and thank you so much for coming on.
Likewise. Thanks for having me, and we'll have to do it sometime again. Maybe even in person if I make it out to the West Coast.
Ooh, that would be beautiful. Yeah, you got to come by the shed, and we'll make all kinds of noise. It'll be wonderful.
Nice.
All right, everybody. For Dovydas, this is Blake. And as always, folks, good luck and good tones. All right, folks, there you have it. Make sure you hop on the Google machine, type in his name. You'll find out all the Dovydas stuff. You'll find his YouTube channel. He's easy to find. He's an easy dude to track down. And if you would like to hear us talk more, oh yes, there's more of this conversation over on Patreon. So you go to patreon.com/tonemob, where for $5 a month, you get extra episodes delivered right to your ears every week. Yes, extra audio episodes. Not full-blown. Sometimes they are. If I can talk the guest into sitting around for 2 hours with me, sometimes we can get an extra full in there. But usually, it's another 20-30 minutes or so of the conversation, and when that doesn't happen, I've got other content that I put in there. I've got conversations with my good friend Justin Porter. I've got audio demos I do. There's all kinds of other additional content over there that I try to stick in there for the Patreon subscribers. So if that's your thing, that's where you find that. And yeah, I think that's it for this week. So I will talk to you next time. Bye. One last thing before we totally sign off here. I just want to remind you that if you do any shopping at Stringjoy, that's Stringjoy guitar strings made in Nashville, that will help me out as well. As I've said for years, I'm heavily involved in that company, and I really do think they're making the best products on the market. So if you would like to try custom strings, go to tonemob.com/stringjoy and check them out today. I seriously love what the team down there is doing. I help them out with all kinds of things, and by you supporting them, you are also supporting me as well. And hey, you need some strings, so why not get some custom strings just for your guitar and playing style? Again, the link for that is tonemob.com/stringjoy, and that will take you right to their website, and you can do all your shopping through there, and that will help everyone involved out. So thank you very much. Talk to you next time. We are brought to you by the wonderful folks at Gun Street Wiring Shop. Yes, Gun Street Wiring Shop. I've talked about them before. I used to say based out of Bend, Oregon, but guess what? Sean moved to my neck of the woods. Sean's in Portland. Sean is awesome and has helped me with a bunch of stuff lately. And if you have wiring needs for your guitar, he can help you too. If you want to get weird with it, he can get weird. If you just need to spruce things up a little bit, there's your guy. He takes all the guesswork out of doing your guitar wiring, and he makes it simple, and his customer service is top-notch, and I can't say enough good things about Gun Street as a company. I really respect Sean and what he's all about, and the product is top-notch. I've got 3 different guitars that now have Gun Street harnesses in them, and I could not be happier. So go to gunstreetwiringshop.com and check them out.